Well, my friends, it is certainly that time of year again where we have the true, full, official rollout of Android 17, and I'm not going to hold you. On first look, this isn't a huge, massive, game-changing update. I would say that this is more so of a staged rollout. We have the core Android 17 update that I'm going to give you the highlights of today. Then we have a ton of features that were announced at the Android show, slated to release later this summer that I'm going to go over real quick. And then after that, we have the QPR update, most likely scheduled for September with even more relatively big changes on the way. So if you look at today's update in isolation, sure, this isn't a big one, but as I said before, Android 17 is effectively rolling out in stages over the next 6 months, and that's what I wanted to highlight in this video. What's coming right now guaranteed, what's confirmed for later, and what's on the horizon potentially for the future. Needless to say, Android 17 is actually pretty huge when you look at the whole thing, so let's get right into it. And of course, if you want to stay up to date with the latest Android coverage, definitely subscribe to the 9 to 5 Google YouTube channel because we will be covering every update, every feature in depth, and we do not want you to miss out on any of it. First, let me cover the biggest, most important changes available today on day one, and if you've been following the channel in any capacity, you should have already heard about some of these. To me, the biggest feature of the Android 17 stable update is app bubbles, no questions asked. It's a big one, and we've talked about it so many times now where you can multitask seamlessly with up to 5 apps at a time, all running in the background, so there's no loading or wait times when switching between them. In order to start a multitasking session with these bubbles, you can long press on an app, either on the home screen or app drawer, and select that new bubble option. It opens inside this picture-in-picture window with your app fully functioning, and to dismiss it, you just tap somewhere off screen. And the point of this really is to be a lightweight, easy to access multitasking layer. You don't have to fill the whole screen or be locked into a specific mode like some other solutions out there. You can easily just tap in and out quite seamlessly, which is something Pixel devices have needed for quite some time. For years, Samsung and other OEMs out there have had way more in-depth multitasking systems. Pixel was kind of left behind in that regard, so it's nice to see something more modern and up to date. Next up, expanded dark theme mode on a per app basis. This one we also talked about quite a bit, and to be clear, Android has already had an expanded dark theme mode which forced apps into dark mode even if they didn't natively support it. What this feature does is make it so you have a per app toggle. You can choose which individual apps are going to be forced into dark mode. This fixes one of the main reasons why some people might not have used dark mode in the first place. Either the forced dark mode apps were ugly or had compatibility issues, maybe some apps were hard to read or had washed out images or just had weird context in general, but now you can keep that system-wide dark mode theme but have certain exceptions on a per app basis. This next one is actually kind of cool. Probably not needed for more experienced Android users out there, but there is now a new Bluetooth diagnostics tab where you can troubleshoot any Bluetooth connected device like earbuds, a smartwatch, or your car infotainment system as an example. You can find this right underneath your connected devices in the Bluetooth menu, and with this tool running, it can do a fake phone call to test the connection, it can play sounds to try and troubleshoot media playback issues, or you have an other issues tab with common sense troubleshooting steps. That way you can make sure all of your bases are covered. As for a bigger, more important feature, we finally have the heavily rumored redesigned screen recording user interface, which I think looks a lot nicer and its execution is way more seamless as well. Before, when you would start or stop a recording, you would get this giant UI element box in the middle of your screen. You start and stop your recording and there really wasn't much to it. Now, it seems like Google is building a stronger foundation to expand its capabilities in the future. Now, when you start a recording, you get this clean UI at the top center. When you start a recording, the menu slides up out of sight, and you can bring your controls back during a recording session by tapping the chip in the status bar. Right now, you can only toggle the show touches option while recording, which is nice, don't get me wrong, and also, when you're done, you get a new playback screen that allows you to preview the recording you just filmed alongside a start new, edit, delete, or share option. But I do have a little bit more for you about that in a bit. And keep in mind, guys, these are just the biggest features of this new stable update. There are a few smaller ones worth mentioning too, like the separation of the Wi-Fi and mobile data tiles, a highly requested feature by the way. Gemini Assistant volume can be adjusted independently from the rest of the system. Game controller remapping, that's a huge addition too. There's also some changes to split screen multitasking, all of which you should generally know about. As a whole, there are quite a few smaller changes here, and thankfully for you guys, my man Damien has done an intense 17-minute video covering every single little tiny change, which I heavily encourage you to check out if you're into that kind of thing. But this video is a little different, as I wanted to focus more so on the biggest features you get now and what you should be looking forward to when the rest of Android 17 rolls out. At the Android show, for example, Google announced a ton of features that are part of Android 17 that are, quote, coming soon or coming later this summer. Number 1, Instagram for Android is getting some major optimizations. In this case, Google partnered with Meta to bring some huge features to Instagram like Ultra HDR capture, built-in video stabilization, and night sight directly into the Instagram viewfinder. The capture to upload pipeline was completely overhauled as well, so photos and videos don't lose sharpness, just like on iOS. There is now a fully optimized tablet UI for large screen devices on Android, all of which were much needed changes, especially for one of the most popular social media platforms on the planet. It should be the best on Android, no questions asked, and these are some nice steps to bring it there. There's also some updates to the Instagram Edits app that uses on-device UI to upscale photos and videos and implement sound separation features where AI identifies and splits audio tracks, so you can adjust certain sounds like background wind, noise, or vocals after the fact. Alongside that, we're getting an Adobe Premiere app for Android, quote, coming soon, and Android 17 introduces the Advanced Professional Video Codec, otherwise known as APV, co-developed with Samsung. Basically, you'll be able to capture and edit video that is visually lossless in quality, great if you're a content creator shooting on mobile. In post-production, in theory, you should be able to get a lot more out of it now. Number 2, digital well-being for Android is getting an upgrade with a new feature called Pause Point. With this, you can basically set usage limits for your most distracting apps on your phone. Specifically, in my case, that's going to be social media, and this occurs immediately upon opening, or it can trigger after a set amount of time. Basically, Pause Point will prompt you either before or during your interaction with a distracting app to take a moment and reconsider why you're even using that app in the first place. Instead, you'll be offered a breathing exercise and suggestions for healthier alternatives like listening to an audiobook or reviewing your photo library, as a few examples. To me, it's probably the best feature of this update. To be honest, I hate being on my phone so much. I hate losing time doom scrolling, so I'll definitely be using this quite a bit. Number 3, part of this Android 17 update is a complete redesign of the current emojis. Instead of the flat 2D look that we have now, every single emoji is getting redesigned with a more 3D type of look. It's supposed to add a bit more depth. Google said it brings a, quote, touch of physicality, unquote, to your online interactions, and while to me it does seem minor, good on them for refreshing the experience, and this is coming to Android, quote, sometime this year. Last but not least, there are also a handful of features as part of this Android 17 update that initially, and at least to my knowledge, will be Pixel exclusives from the start. One of those is the Create a Widget feature, where you can use generative AI to create custom home screen widgets and Wear OS tiles. They're meant to dynamically populate with information pulled from the web and your connected Google apps, so that should make for some interesting results, again, in theory. Google also announced task automation with Gemini Intelligence. Basically, it's a deeper level of agentic AI where Gemini can do a task on your behalf and you can watch that task in real time. Google gave examples like booking a vacation rental where it does all the work for you and brings you right to the checkout screen where you can make a final decision, or building a shopping cart for a delivery to your home based on a list that you showed it. Google also announced a built-in screen reaction tool that recreates a lot of those reaction videos that you see on TikTok, and it's actually live in Android Canary right now if you want to test it out. Basically, instead of recording a screen capture on your phone and then setting up a separate camera to film your face, Android 17 will let you record the screen UI and the front-facing camera at the same time. It overlays your camera feed onto the screen recording as a floating window, and at least on first impression, it looks really good. You don't need a video editor to use it, and you don't need a green screen, which were some of the biggest barriers to entry. It just overlays your face pretty seamlessly on top of whatever you're looking at. Again, probably one of the best features of this update. And this isn't even everything, by the way, just some of the main, most important features. There's also an improved iOS to Android migration tool where it perfectly transfers your folders, app placements, and supported widgets, creating the exact layout on your new Android device. Same with eSIMs, passwords, accessibility settings, deeper data like media saved inside WhatsApp as an example. All of it will now transfer over starting on Pixel and Samsung phones this summer, with broader support likely being rolled out in 2026. And again, guys, I cannot stress it enough. That is not even everything as part of Android 17, as we still have some features coming for a bigger QPR update slated for September, again, as part of Android 17 as well, likely released as a refresh alongside the Pixel 11. We don't know everything, of course, but if we take a peek at Android Canary, there are two huge additions so far, that being the blurred UI and the custom color picker theming feature. For Blur UI, the Android Canary build has finally introduced system-wide UI blur in the volume slider, volume panel, and power menu, which now perfectly matches the blur inside the widgets panel, notification shade, and app drawer. To be clear, I think it looks great. For one, it looks way better than Liquid Glass, and for two, I would say that they're not even comparable in the slightest. Android's implementation is a clean, subtle, frosted blur. The tint of the blur changes based on the wallpaper. It's much more legible and easier to read. Meanwhile, Apple really just focused on translucency and light refraction, two totally different takes. So no, guys, I will not be accepting the narrative that this is Liquid Glass, and if anyone tells you otherwise, you have my personal permission to give them pushback, because saying that this is Liquid Glass is just plain wrong and probably a little lazy if you ask me. And the second major feature likely coming in the QPR update in September is the custom color picker. It's already been inside Android Canary for the past week or so, but under the wallpaper and style section in the colors tab, there is a small color palette icon where you can select a specific color for your entire system UI via this slider bar at the bottom. You get the whole color spectrum here, so you can pick the exact look you want, and they even included an additional option to make the theming more intense or muted with these new neutral, soft, bright, and bold options that you can access once you pick a color via this little pencil icon. Currently, I'm using the bright option. For me, it makes the colors so much more vibrant throughout the UI. It makes them so much more intense, which I absolutely love. And I'm extremely happy that Google added something like this to their Pixel devices. I can't wait to see it when it comes to stable, again, hopefully around September. So, as you can see, guys, yes, the initial Android 17 update isn't huge, but if we look at the entire rollout from start to finish, it's as big, if not bigger than years past. And I feel like even then, there are still some big items missing that we don't even know about come the September release. Long story short, especially if you're a Pixel user, there is really a lot for you to play around with in the upcoming months, and I've got to give Google props. Considering the full big picture, they're doing a great job with Android 17. That said, my friends, I'm gonna leave it to you guys now. I know we don't have the full update here, but with everything we know so far, what do you think of Android 17? What features are you looking forward to using the most? Is there anything here that's missing that you would still like to see? If so, leave a comment and let me know. I'm sure the whole Android community would love to give their opinions on this, so jump into the comments, have fun with it, guys. I will be reading every single one of them. Until next time, this has been Jordan Floyd from 9to5 Google. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.